Good evening and welcome to our 9 p.m. English news brought to you live by RTD. My name is Anna Farah. Djibouti Chaine, arrival of a ship hospital of the Chinese army in Djibouti. Netherlands, a rock concert cancelled in Rotterdam after a terrorist threat. And now the national news. A ceremony of the reception of 300 tents was held this morning at the headquarters of the National Office of the Assistant to Refugee and Evacuated Owners under the high patronage of the Minister of Interior, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Omar Mohamed. This donation of the tent has been granted by the development of the British government UK aid in the partnership with the International Organization for Migration IOM to owners for the benefit of vulnerable people. The Minister of Interior, Hassan Omar Mohamed, has for his part thanked the IOM, the UK aid, for this donation of 300 tents. He indicated that his aid is part of the framework of protection of vulnerable people. The Minister of the Interior said, "Let me express my warm and sincere thanks to our vulnerable donors here present." I pointed at IOM and UK aid. This aid is in a framework of protection of vulnerable population. In this respect, I would like to pay a tribute at the International Organization for Migration, which is always held a rating in assistance to the most needed. IOM, in partnership with the International Agency for the Development of the British Government UK aid, has given us these 300 tons. This donation is an important contribution because it will relieve many vulnerable homes. These tents are now under the responsibility of owner, which is governmental body pardon of assistance to refugee and disaster in Djibouti. Owners are sure that it will make the best use by distributing them in due time to the most needed people. In a framework of strengthening the South cooperation, the Minister of the Health, Dr. Chama Ilmi Okie, has conducted a working visit of 3 days in Senegal, responding to the invitation issued by his counterpart, Prof. Awa Miracle Thick, during the foundation of the WHO Health in Geneva in May 2017. In effect, the delegation led by Dr. Chama Ilmi Okie and accompanied by the Director General of the CNSS, Hassan Roble Obsiye, they start to work on Monday, 21st August 2017, in the Department of Health, Social Education, and the chairmanship of the Minister of the Health and Social Action of Senegal, Professor Awa Miracle Thick. In his opening remark, the Senegalese Minister of Health, the Social Action, has welcomed the delegation of Djibouti while expressing all its commitment to promote of Pan-Africa integration for the health. For his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Chama Ilmi Okie, has reiterated his commitment to a strong and enduring partnership between Senegal and his country in the field of health. Still on the national news, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, and his colleague of the Higher Education, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, are successfully received by the President of the Republic of Tunisia yesterday, Wednesday, to Carthage at the Presidential Palace with the President BJK SCB. To the two ministers discussed the friendship and the cooperation between our countries. The two ministers are in fact in Tunisia since last Tuesday in the framework of their participation to the Forum Sub-Sahara Tunisia Africa, bringing together 16 countries in Africa. Placed under the slogan from the famous quotation of Nelson Mandela, "Education is the most powerful weapon to change Africa." This event aimed to revive the Tunisian as a destination of choice for Africans in the field of higher education and vocational training. A Chinese hospital ship bearing the name of the Ark of Peace has docked yesterday at the port of Djibouti, will coordinate with the Minister of the Defense to provide care to the Djiboutian population. The arrival of this ship has been welcomed by the Chinese community present in Djibouti, senior officer of the General Staff, as well as the Chinese ambassador in Djibouti. The Chief of the Defense Staff, Brigadier General Taher Mohammed Ali, was at the head of the Djiboutian High Commandment Officer. The Chief of the Defense Staff, General Brigadier Taher Mohammed Ali, has said that everything will be done to make the mission of the Chinese military medical mission a success. This morning, the Chief of the General Staff of the Army, General Secretary Sheikh Osman, Commander of the hospital ship, Vice Admiral Guyan, and the officer of Chinese medical mission. Above everything, this initiative is deeply rooted and illustrated the excellent relation between the two countries. In the framework of this program for the promotion and protection of human rights, Islam, the Community of Community Management of Neighborhood, PK12, has organized yesterday afternoon a ceremony to raise awareness on the right of the child. This ceremony is organized in close collaboration with the National Union of Djibouti Women and UNICEF. This ceremony is initiated to assert the young people what of them are the right as to obtain the national identity card or refusal of existing for young women, even to fight against drugs. The ceremony saw the participation of several women of the community and the young neighborhood of PK12. It is in the period of summer, and awareness will be of paramount importance because this is the young people have much more time this time. In the places meetings such as the CDC, it is specified that the violence made to young girls will not longer be tolerated, and none of the desired pregnancy as well. The river of Amboli is in flood. Traffic is difficult. Cars are headed to get the rain of the season of Karma appear in the region of the south and upstream of the capital. Several rivers are in the flow, in particular the rivers of Amboli, which cut the capital into two after the flood river in the region of Dikil, which had disturbed traffic of the National Road 1. Yesterday, the river of Amboli, which crossed the capital, is also in flood since yesterday morning 5:30 a.m. The passage is disturbed in both directions between the center of the capital of Balbala, especially at the level of the road, and the Palms Grove, which is heavily used in both directions since the closure of the Italian bridge. The weather in Djibouti, the Kamsin blows strong in Djibouti. The wind is violent. Caution remain critical for the trip at the sea and the houses, and fire must be monitored. We regret to announce the death of Uthman Ahmed Ahmed occurred last Saturday in Peltier Hospital. He was born in 1936, retired from the public house. The deceased Uthman Ahmed Ahmed left behind him a large family in which a widow with 10 children and 21 grandchildren. He was the father of our former colleague Wagdi Uthman, journalist at the RTD. This is a painful circumstance. The direction and the entire staff of the RTD addresses its sincere condolence to the whole family of the deceased Uthman Ahmed Ahmed and requests to the good God to welcome him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And now, let us move on to regional news. In Somalia now, where the boundaries between male and female when it comes to jobs in a society dominated to man is beginning to vanish. Nasra Haji Hussein in Somalia, first female car mechanic. Let us watch this video together, please.
Left home 2 years ago in search of a job in Mogadishu. Working as a mechanic was not among the options he had in mind. The 18-year-old comes from Hiran, about 300 kilometers from Somalia's capital. After a 10-day journey, Nasra arrived in Mogadishu to stay with a relative. She spent several months job hunting and eventually approached mechanic at the service garage, where she found an opportunity to serve as an apprentice. Nasra has been ridiculed and discouraged by many, but she says over time she has managed to rebuild a regular customer base in a country where jobs are scarce. For many youth, getting a solid education or even finding a job is difficult with the economic and security challenges Somalia continues to face as the country rebuilds. Working in what is traditionally seen as a male domain, Nasra says at first she was ridiculed and chided for taking up the job, but over time she has begun to win customers. By challenging gender stereotypes in a country with limited opportunities, Nasra has been able to acquire new skills and build a career. At the same time, she has improved her family life.
The rest of Africa continent, at least 8 people have been dead and dozens more injured in Guyana, when a rubbish bag dumped on the outskirts of the capital of Conakry collapses after heavy rain. 5 bodies, including those of 2 children, were taken to the morgue in Conakry. More detail with Saeed Mohammed.
At least 8 people died and others were injured in Guinea when a portion of a rubbish landfill site collapsed on houses on the outskirts of the capital Conakry in torrential rain. Police and government officials said the disaster followed landslide in Sierra Leone and Democratic Republic of Congo, in which hundreds of people have been killed since early last week. Authorities have said that heavy rains in the region could cause more deaths. Monday incident in Guinea occurred in the morning in the Dar es Salaam neighborhood after an overnight deluge. The area is filled with wood and tin roof houses. The government initially said 5 people had been killed and around 10 injured. Shifting rainfall patterns, rampant deforestation and expanding urban populations are increasing the risk of deadly mudslide across West and Central Africa, experts have said. Rescue workers have unearthed 499 bodies since the site of Mount Sugar loft collapsed last Monday near the Sierra Leone capital Freetown, in one of Africa's worst flooding-related disasters in years.
The international scene now. Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro is to ask Interpol to issue a red alert for the arrest of fugitive Attorney General Luis Ortega Diaz and her husband, just a day after the Colombian government said Luis Ortega Diaz was under its protection and offered asylum to her and her husband. Venezuela's suspended Attorney General has left for Brazil. More detail in this video, please.
Venezuela's fugitive ex-Attorney General Luisa Ortega has lashed out again at her former boss. Speaking in Brazil after fleeing her home country due to alleged political persecution, she claims to have evidence that Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro was involved in corruption with the construction firm Odebrecht. She claims the company paid $100 million to officials in Maduro's government. In Venezuela, the death of right has occurred. The stability of the region is at risk. Everything that's occurring to me is due to a series of complaints that I have made, but especially for attacking the corruption. Odebrecht admitted in a settlement with U.S. and Brazilian prosecutors to paying bribes across 12 countries to win contracts. According to a U.S. court ruling, between 2001 and 2016, Odebrecht paid about $788 million in bribes in countries including Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and Venezuela. Back in Venezuela, video images aired on national TV appeared to show police searching Ortega's Caracas home. The commentary says expensive items were recovered, which Ortega could only have acquired through corruption.
That is all for this evening news. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful evening.